Let's start with the breaking news, and it is very interesting to say the least. As you know, Donald Trump, he only hires the best people. Well, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon is in a little bit of trouble this morning because he was just arrested and charged with defrauding hundreds of thousands of dollars of donors through his We Build the Wall fundraising campaign. Boy, sounds like a wonderful campaign, doesn't it? Bannon and 3 associates were indicted in a federal investigation in the Southern District of New York. Prosecutors are saying that the 4 defrauded donors by raising more than $25 million to build that wall, you know, the wall that Donald Trump said Mexico was going to pay for along the southern border of the United States. And apparently some of that money was used for personal gain. The United States Postal Inspection Service also assisted in the investigation. How interesting. Maybe that's why Donald Trump is going after the Postal Service. I don't know. The campaign was intended to raise money, obviously, to help Trump fulfill that campaign promise, which he never did. Instead, prosecutors allege that Bannon and his team profited off the arrangement. I'm sure Donald Trump knew nothing about this, though. I'm sure. The indictment said the defendants collectively received hundreds of thousands of dollars in donor funds from We Build the Wall, which they each used in a manner inconsistent with the organization's public representations. The White House was asked about this. They declined to comment. A spokeswoman for Bannon did not return a request for comment. Steve Bannon is in a lot of trouble, and he could go to jail. So this is a developing story. It just happened this morning, and we will continue to monitor it. There's not a lot else to say right now. I'm sure we'll hear from attorneys. We'll hear from people on both sides.
I know he's going to plead not guilty. He was caught on a boat in Connecticut. Apparently he's involved. He's getting one count of wire fraud or money laundering. He was involved in a trying to, or I guess what happened was they were raising money to build the wall, and that money was used incorrectly or something along those lines. But I will say this:
personal use.
Correct. I will. That's the allegation. That's the charge at least. But then there's a difference between being charged and being convicted, and that needs to be very clear. But
I don't think it's made up.
But Steve Bannon was extremely instrumental in getting Donald Trump elected in 2016. I mean, he was very effective for Donald Trump's campaign.
So what? Now he's probably going to go to jail. He was just arrested.
It's possible.
I don't care if he was 100% instrumental. The guy's a scumbag.
There's been a lot of people that have been arrested, have been connected to Donald Trump under different circumstances, and how many are still in jail?
Well, this reminds me of Paul Manafort. And by the way, just because you're arrested doesn't mean you're going to jail for something. But
you're right, exactly.
But a lot of people have pled guilty, I should say.
He's going to plead not guilty. So we'll see where it goes. But again, Steve Bannon was very important for 2016 for Trump. So if he's not there in 2020, I think it could hurt Donald Trump.
Okay.
In his quest to be president, despite the fact that I do believe that Joe Biden is going to get just destroyed.
Well, quite frankly, my opinion is I don't care how instrumental he was. To me, that has nothing to do with the fact that he's a scumbag and he stole money from people. I'm pretty confident of that. I don't think they made this stuff up. I'm sure they have a paper trail. They have text messages. I think the last thing – hold on a second. I think that's the last thing they would do would be to arrest a high-profile individual like this with no evidence to back up the charge.
They've done it multiple times, Brian. They did it to Michael Flynn. They did it.
Michael Flynn, first of all, that's not true.
That is true.
Okay, hold on.
His case just started on for the second time. After Judge Sullivan tried to keep pushing it was thrown out again. Not that I want to spend more than 10 seconds on Michael Flynn. Anyone attached to Donald Trump.
Hold on a second. What you said is not factually accurate. Okay, Michael Flynn admitted to pleading guilty to lying to the FBI. Now, if you know Attorney General Barr,
do you know what the actual details are?
I don't want to talk about Michael Flynn. I'm sorry, I just don't want to. I mean,
so you can. Okay, fine.
I really don't want to spend more than 10 seconds on Flynn. We got so many other things to talk about.
You just said that
I didn't bring up Flynn. I didn't bring up Flynn. You did. I don't want to talk about Flynn.
I brought up people close to Trump that are being taken down in some situations with very little evidence.
So if you think,
and you can be considered to be lying to the FBI if you say, all right, did you go to the bathroom today?
All right, no problem.
And you say,
so if you think,
no.
Okay, so I would say,
and they prove that the answer is yes.
I will say that again.
The details there, lying to the FBI is much more convoluted than you think.
So I will just say, defrauding donors by hundreds of thousands of dollars and allegedly using it for personal gain is not going to the bathroom. So let me just be clear on that. That's what Bannon was charged with. It's a serious crime. It's a serious charge. And I think it's a little bit more serious than going to the bathroom.
Whenever you don't like somebody and they're charged or they're accused of something, you always believe that it's true. Have you noticed that?
Who have I said that I like?
Everybody. Every single person that's connected to Donald Trump, anything Donald Trump does, anything Manafort, Flynn,
and anybody associated with the Trump campaign because you support Trump, you defend.
Anyone? No, I'm not defending.
Okay.
I'm not defending.
So,
I'm just saying he's going to plead not guilty. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
Brian.
so give me an example on the other side.
But you're saying that he is. I mean, there isn't one. Whenever someone attached to Trump,
give me an example on the other side.
Is accused of something.
Okay, so you're not listening.
You always believe that it's true.
Okay, so
your personal bias overtakes the logic every single time.
So let me go on the other side to prove you wrong once again, and you're saying things that are completely factually not. Okay, if I can talk, please. Saying things that are completely factually inaccurate. Let's go on the other side of things. Can you give me an example of somebody that was charged with a crime that I like, that I defended? If you think I'm biased, I'm asking you a very specific question because you just put a claim out there that is not true. Can you?
No, it is true, Brian.
Okay, so answer my question and I will ask it one more time. Answer my question and I will ask it one more time.
That's not connected.
Answer my question and I will ask it one more time.
There's no connection there, Brian.
Listen again. Listen again. I will ask it now for the second time. If you could listen, can you give me an example of somebody on the other side, maybe somebody that I like or somebody that you think I like because they're a Democrat, that was charged with a crime that I defended, exhaustively defended, because you think I'm on the left?
Again,
can you give me one example?
Difference between
okay, you can't. All right, let's move on now.
Difference between exhaustively defended, Brian. All I'm saying is
give me one example.
Anyone attached to Trump.
Give me one example.
When something happens,
so you
to
think
that
it's
person,
because he's connected to Trump?
You always believe that person did something wrong. Every single time.
Give me an example.
You never give that person
this is the dumbest.
Okay, so it's just reality, Brian.
This is
fine.
Okay, no, it's not fine. This is the dumbest argument I've ever had on radio. I know you want to do 45 minutes and talk about Michael Flynn.
No, I don't.
I know that's very important to you.
I brought that up for about 5 seconds, and you decided to run with it.
There's other things that I would rather talk about right now. When you give an example like that and you say I defend everybody or I go after everybody that is charged with a crime in the Trump administration, I'm asking you if I can just finish without you interrupting me. I ask you a very specific question. Can you give me an example of somebody on the other side? Because I know you think I'm a liberal. Can you give me?
I didn't say you were liberal, Brian.
You've said that before on the air. You've said that before on the air. If I can finish my statement.
That's not what I'm implying here.
If I can finish my statement.
You're biased.
Okay. If I'm biased, and I'm going to ask the question now for the third time, which you still have not answered. If you think I'm biased, can you give me one example of somebody on the other side that maybe hates Trump, that's a Democrat or a liberal, that has been charged with a crime that I have defended to the end? One example.
Again, defending to the end is not necessary.
Okay, how about just defend it?
How about just defend it, Brian?
How about just defend it? You can't answer the question.
What I just said Steve Bannon, he may or may not be guilty. I have no idea. But every single person,
answer the question.
Every single person attached to Trump, people have gone after him, obviously.
Okay.
And
here's the thing.
To me, it's no coincidence
that 75
days before the election, that Steve Bannon is now being attacked.
Okay,
That's
so
all I'm saying.
I'm sure Steve Bannon did nothing wrong. You're right.
Maybe he did do something wrong.
I'm sure he did nothing wrong.
No,
he's completely innocent. I'm sure these are made-up charges. I agree with you.
You always believe that if anyone connected to Trump, if they're connected to Trump and they were charged with something, that they're automatically guilty.
So let me.
That's all that I'm saying.
I'd like to move on because again, this is a
please move on.
Completely stupid argument. But if you're going to make a claim that I'm so biased that anybody that is charged under the Trump administration, I'm going to go after and assume they're guilty. The definition of bias is, let me just finish. Again, if I could finish my statement. On the other side of things, if you're saying that I'm biased, then on the other side of things, you should be able to give me at least one example of somebody on the other side that hates Trump that I have defended. You can't do that.
Again,
I'm not biased. Let's move on.
It's not just Trump. It's anyone that you don't like personally.
Right. Okay. So again, give me somebody.
Whether they're connected to Trump or not.
Okay, so again, give me somebody that I like personally that I've defended that has been charged with a crime. You can't do that. So your argument doesn't make any sense.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense.
Then give me one example.
And every single listener knows it, Brian.
Then give me one example.
The fact you're coming
every listener knows it. Okay, another idiotic statement.
So why are you coming out and saying that Steve Bannon is guilty?
All right, I'm going to move on now because you're just saying idiotic, stupid things, and I'm not even going to address it. Every listener knows it. I mean, you make generic statements that don't make any sense on this show. You're doing it again, and you're saying offensive things about me. I'm talking about Steve Bannon.
Offensive things about you? No, I'm talking. You're taking it personally for no reason whatsoever.
Let me explain it one more time. This man was charged with a very serious crime.
Okay.
It is my personal opinion that these are not made-up charges.
Because you don't like him personally. Excuse me. Because he's going to. Why is that?
Okay. Well, if you don't let me finish my sentence, I can't tell you. Okay. It is my personal opinion that when they arrest somebody with a crime like this, during these times, when the microscope is on the FBI, it's on all these investigators, and they're looking for a reason to say, oh, they arrested him for no reason because he's associated with Trump. It is my personal opinion that they probably have evidence and a paper trail, and they have enough evidence to charge this man because it's there. There's a there. Okay, that is my personal opinion. Hold on a second. It's not because I'm biased. It's not because I don't like Steve Bannon. And if you can't give me an example of the other end of the spectrum where, somebody was arrested or charged with a crime that's a Democrat that I defended exhaustively, then your statement is not factually accurate.
They wouldn't have to be a Democrat. I'm saying anyone that you don't like personally, Brian.
Okay.
And in this case, anyone connected to Donald Trump because he's Donald Trump, not because he's a Republican, but because he's Donald Trump, you assume they're automatically guilty. That's all I'm saying.
Anybody that's associated with Trump.
And for some reason, you're getting offended by that. I don't know why.
Because when people say,
why.
I'll tell you why. Because when people say
I'm not
things,
saying you're a Democrat. I'm not saying you're a liberal at all.
I'll tell you why. Because when people say things that are stupid, that are not
That's
correct.
Not stupid.
Okay.
Brian.
Well, yes, it is.
Every
because
single person. I mean, you said. You basically,
all right.
When Michael Cohen's book came out about golden showers, what did you say about that with Trump? You think that that's true?
No, I'm doing a radio show, and I think it's a very funny story, and we're doing something called being entertaining
funny,
and having fun.
That's
why I brought it up.
Almost everything negative that comes up about Trump or someone connected to Trump, you assume it's true automatically. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, in the history, I've done radio for 20 years. This is the worst 15 minutes of radio I've ever done. I apologize to all the listeners.